Hi everybody, this is Linda Bartolucci with Ink Stamp and Scrap, and today we're going to make a screen folder card just like this. I made one on my Facebook Live, which I host Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm excited to show you how this comes together. All right, let's get to our screen divider card. I'm going to go through the dimensions as I film this, but you can find them in the description below. There's a link to my blog post, and that has everything that you need. When you start the screen divider card, you need your card base, which is 5.5 by 11, and it is scored at 2 3/4, 5.5, 8 1/4. And that means that each panel is 2 3/4 wide, which makes it fold into quarters, and I'll show you that in just a second. Any stampable pieces that you need to be 2 1/4 by 4.5, and then my designer series paper is cut at 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. But the biggest part of making this card is getting the base right. So let's start with that. So the first thing we're going to do, I have the scoring done, is to fold this the right way. So the left panel is what goes on the front. And we're going to fold that mountain style M, and then we're going to valley the next one, and then we're going to take the right panel and tuck it underneath. So you can see it ends up being a very narrow card, but it is 5.5 tall, just like your regular A2 size card. So let's put this open again and take my bone folder and get these scores nice and tight. Then the next step is to actually make it look like a divider screen. For that, I'm going to use the Label Me Lovely punch, which is this one, but you can use any large decorative punch. I'm going to use this first half right here before I get to the bump out. You just want to use about 1/2 inch of the punch, because the way that this is going to be decorated is that this is going to go on here so that the alley on the left, the top, and the right are the same. And you see I have a lot of space down here. I'm going to make it so that alley is the same as these once I punch things out. So let me show you what I mean. And I want this card to go straight across here, all of the punches centered on the panel and the same height. So to do that, I need to make a little mask for myself. I don't know if that's the right word. I need to punch this the first time on 2 of these so that they can be the template. That's the word I'm looking for. The template for this. So what I'm doing here is I'm eyeballing this. I want it centered, so I'm looking at this line and this fold to make sure that the punch is centered. And then I'm squeezing it a little bit to hold it. I want to make sure that the bottom of the card lines up with this corner here and this corner here. And it looks straight. So there we go. And I'm going through 2 pieces of cardstock at once. And actually, that doesn't look, I'm going to move it over just a hair. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm happier with that. Okay. So once I make this punch, that's what's going to be the template for the other 2 sides. So you can see I've already started to make the feet for my screen divider. Now I can take the front side, fold it over, flip it, and I have a template right here. So now all I have to do is take that Label Me punch and bring it in and line it up with the previous punch. So now I'm only going through 1 piece of cardstock. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the back panel, and I will have my card base finished. And like I said, that's the hardest part of this, is to get all of this done and even and consistent. And of course, this last one is going to fight me. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. So now you can really see how this is a screen divider. I know you're looking down camera, but it stands up and it's really nice. And it gives you lots of opportunity to decorate. All right, so let's corner round all of the designer series paper, the base, and the stampable pieces. So we have that all done and ready to go. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me do every single one. right, now we have our screen divider all corner rounded and all our layers are corner rounded. So let's get the designer series paper laid down on this first. I left the bottoms all straight because this is a straight edge here and these are straight corners, so just trying to keep it consistent. I've gotten some questions lately about why I've been using liquid glue so much, and the plain and simple answer is I need to order more Stampin' Seal, and I also ordered a bunch of liquid glue, we'll just say by accident. For a card like this, I also like using the liquid glue because you want to make sure that the panels are even and that the alleys are consistent, meaning the space at the top and the sides, and the liquid glue just gives you that extra second to kind of slide stuff around. It was not my intention to use liquid glue as much as I have lately, but I do have to say I am enjoying some of the benefits. And it does dry really quickly. I mean, I'm here in humid Florida, and which is not super humid yet, but getting worse. And I noticed that the liquid glue still dries very quickly. All right, how cool is that? It's really starting to pop. I love this designer series paper. I'm going to miss it when Stampin' Up! Decides to retire it in just a couple months. But I'm sure there's gonna be another one that I absolutely love and can't wait to use, because that just seems to be the way it happens. All right, now we need to stamp and get our stamped panels on here. So I'm gonna set this aside just so I don't get anything on here. I'm going to bring in the 2 panels that I plan to stamp on. Today, I'm going to use, oh, there we go. I'm going to use Massive Thanks as my stamp set for the greetings. I picked out 2 to make this a thank you card. And I'm gonna bring in my grid paper as well because I need to practice and see how this goes. All right, so the first one we're going to use on the outside is, this isn't just a thank you card with a little an ellipse after it. And I forgot. All right, time out. First, what we need to do, I'm looking at that stamp thinking I wasn't gonna stamp straight on the panel, and I know why. I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin' Emboss machine, and I'm going to cut one of these labels from Tasteful Labels, and that's what I'm going to use on the front panel. So I'm gonna slide this through. Of course, I did it the wrong way for video. Let's do this. So you can see, so the sandwich is the #1 plate, the 2 acrylic plate with my paper and my die. And so now I'm just going to crank this through. So this is what you get. So now we're gonna stamp on this, put that aside. And I'm gonna bring back in my ink pad and this isn't just a thank you card. And I can already see that I didn't put that on very straight. So there we go. Now it's much straighter. I like to test on my grid paper first to just make sure. Yeah, it's very straight. Okay, so I need to ink this up a little bit more. Make sure, yep, that's the side I like. I want this, I'm gonna move this down a little bit closer to me. Sorry if my head gets in the frame, but that top line just fits on here. Oh, I needed to go a little bit over. All right, luckily for you, I actually had an extra. So let's see which one we like best, because that's how we roll. I will take the best of the 2 and we'll keep going forward. As I always tell you guys, you're making somebody a hand-stamped card and they should be super happy that you took the time and effort to make it for them. So if it's not perfect, it's still good because you took the time to make it. All right, there we go. So this isn't just a thank you card. And then we're going to take one of our panels and we're going to stamp, it's a hug with a fold in the middle. So that's gonna be the second panel. And I'm gonna put that kind of high on this one. Actually, make sure it's straight. Yes, it is. Okay. I'll ink this up really good and put this straight on my pad and straight up here so that there's room underneath to write. There we go. And then the last one that I'm going to stamp hid that under there. I'm going to stamp with some of the greenery leaves that go with the designer series paper. This is just going to be a decorative panel. Since it's a thank you note, I'm guessing there's not a ton you have to write. So we're just going to stamp that off and fill this in a little bit. Now I'm going to come full up here and then stamp it off and do the same up here. There we go. Okay, so I just want a little bit of greenery on that middle panel. To fill it in, and now we can assemble. So let's close this so I don't mess it up. And let's get a little decorative on that front panel. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in, what do they call this? The braided linen trim. Ooh, I was gonna call it that and I was correct, yay. All right, I have my ribbon scissors here and I'm just gonna put a loop on the side of this, a pretty good size loop, but just a loop. Oh, this isn't the one I was going to use. That's got the this way over. This looks way better. So I'm just looping this, and then I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional and use that to anchor it. So I want to see what I want. I'm going to go on the other side, and I'll show you why in just a second. So when you're decorating this card on the first panel and the third panel, you can go over a little bit to the right, and that's okay. There we go. I want it right there. You might need to add a glue dot to this, but we'll see. Or just 2 dimensionals right there to hold this down. There we go. Okay, so those 2 will hold this. I'm going to finish this panel and then I'll show you what I mean. So the first panel and the third panel, you can add flags, banners, ribbon, bows, and they can hang off a little bit. And the reason I say that is because when you put this in the envelope, you want to put it into the envelope with the front panel. And I'll just get this going and then we'll do that. Oh, come on. Of course they're fighting me. All right, so you want it, oh, actually, okay. Well, nobody reminded me because y'all can't talk to me while I'm videotaping, but we're gonna just fold that back the other way because I do want the left panel to be the front of the card. So I just folded it the opposite way. All right, so this can hang over because when you put this in the envelope, wait for it. There we go. It's gonna go in the envelope this way. So if this is hanging off, that's okay. You don't want anything hanging off here because it'll get smushed. But again, you could have something hanging off here because when you put it in the envelope, it has space at the top. Remember, this is only 2 3/4 and an envelope can fit a 4 1/4 card. And then you don't want to put it on this one again because it'll get smashed when you put it inside. So the second panel, what we're gonna do is we are going to use that for the writing. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually, I'm going to put this as the third panel because that way that loop is out of your way, because I think it would be annoying to try and deal with that loop of ribbon, albeit very cute, when you're trying to write on the card if it was over here. but it can go over the decorative panel with no trouble at all. You see, we're designing on the fly. There we go. And we're going to slide this one in here. And because I love this designer series paper so much, I want most of it to still show. So what I'm going to do is keep these two panels with lots of designer series paper. And there you have it. That is a screen divider card. If you'd like to see another version of this card created, you can pop over to the blog post below and you can see this one created. This was done during my Wednesday workshop, which is a Facebook Live presentation that I do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this was the original, which is pretty close to this one. So there we go. All right, so this was the inspiration, and then we made another one during my Wednesday workshop, and now we've just made one here. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please click subscribe below and be sure to ring that notification bell so you know when I post a new video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.